So welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dundrup, and I just wanted to briefly welcome all of the students and welcome Rinpoche back to our, as I call it, our virtual Gompa, until Rinpoche can return to our physical Gompa. This is sadly Rinpoche's last monthly course for some months, but I promise that we will do whatever we can to get Rinpoche back as quickly as possible after his travels. There is a short personal course material that you can find on the event page just for your own benefit for this course. Rinpoche is someone that the center is very blessed to have a relationship with. He's one of the most well-respected, most sought-after teachers within FPMT, and we have the exceptional good fortune to have this close relationship with Rinpoche, going back only from this past February, but going many decades into the future is our most fervent wish, Rinpoche. So thank you so much for accepting this invitation to teach. And we will be in touch for many more invitations in the future. Over to you.
Rashidale. You can hear me? Yes, okay. Fantastic. Okay. Hello. Sangye Jodang Zoge Sonam La Chanchu Bodo Dane Gyab Sonche Dage Zi Soyebe Sonam Je Rola Benche Sangye Ru Pasho Sangye Jodang Zoge Sonam La Chanchu Bodo Dane Gyab Sonche Dage Zi Soyebe Sonam Rola Benche Sangye Ru Pasho Sangye Jodang Zoge Sonam La Chanchu Bodo Dane Gyab Sonche Dage Zi Soyebe Sonam Je Rola Benche Sangye Ru Pasho. Okay. So today, first day of Tesam Gumsum. Yeah, Tesam Teba means to hear, Samba means to think or contemplate, and Gombai means to practice. So Tesam Gumsum. Initially, I think the progression of um, of practice mainly consist of Gomba, right? Gomba, meditate or to practice. But then in order to meditate and practice, as always necessary to what we say to contemplate, because without contemplation there's no application, and without application there's no conviction. When you are meditating, when you're practicing, conviction becomes an extremely important aspect of practice, because uh, I think even in our daily lives, when we look at our what we say experiences in our daily life, when we are doing something, when we are what we say actively doing something, uh, I think the awareness that we have while we are doing something, that sort of like uh, what we say sort of like catapults the idea that we have of what we are doing. Without having contemplation, then that doesn't come. Uh, so meaningful, we always use the word meaningful, right? So when we are doing something, when we are thinking something, when we are especially in action, we always contemplate whether it's meaningful. So similarly, it's just not just meaning, but it's also essence. It's not just essence, but also an aspect of what we say, of conviction. So all different aspects, from all those different aspects, when the conviction becomes strong, then the practice a little bit hard to be, what do we say, a little bit hard to waver around. A lot of us, we have problems when we are practicing because our mind is going all over the place. Then it's out of no interest. Then it's not just no interest, but then also because we have our own issues, then we calculate which one is more, what do we say, more higher, more bigger, and then we focus on the bigger aspect, right? Our mind sort of starts focusing on the bigger aspect. And then another thing also, when we don't make when we think of our life and our practice as two complete separate different things, then we think, okay, practice is a chore, not not a living means, but a chore. So when you think of practice as a chore and not a living means, then application of practice is just when we are sitting down and we are practicing, right? Whereas when you make practice more not a chore and more of a living means, the way of living, then you tend to learn to contemplate practice into our daily life, into our chores, into our routine, into our schedule, and then I think becomes inseparable. And that's when real practice, what we say, real results start to show. We have 24 hours a day, and out of the 24 hours a day, maybe we spent only 1 hour, 2 hour, then the rest, what we say, 20 hours, 22 hours is, and there's no contemplation, there's no consistency, there's no practice. And just imagine, right? You giving 1 hour to, I don't know, to writing, and then 1 hour to something else, developing some other skill. If you put these two skills together, if you give 20 hours skill here and only 1 hour or 2 hours here, then you already see the difference, how we are, what do we say, improving. The difference is very clear. So similarly, I think practice also happens in that means. So most of our masters, our gurus, our teachers, we look through our past with your experiences, the teachers that you have met, whoever it may be, in my circle of teachers, of course, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, then Gandhi Rinpoche, then Gyabje Lama. Well, Gandhi Rinpoche, now he's ex Gandhi Tripa. Then of course Gyabje Lama Thupten Zopa Rinpoche. When you look at their life, life is no difference from practice. Each and every single day, time, each and every aspect of their day, they always initiate practice into their daily chores. So that, I think, that is the core essence of where we want to reach in regards to practice. Benefits, of course, there's a bigger, what do we say, wider aspect of benefit when we look at, if you, of course, are a believer of next life, previous life, so on and so forth, until enlightenment. Of course, there's a lot of topics to debate on in regards to that. First aspect is if there is a next life or not. Then, if there is a next life, then uh, you know uh, how this continuity of the mind stream works. So I always say faith is necessary. A little bit of faith is necessary in Dharma when you first start, but once you have initialized the aspect of understanding cause and condition, we talked about in the last two courses about karma, and freedom, of course, full freedom when you understand karma. So, when you initialize those, then you tend to come to conclusion of the continuity of the mind as well. Of course, like I said, it's a very, very, very profound debating topics, and I would encourage everyone to ask questions and, of course, debate, not just with your gurus, not just with your teachers, but also within yourselves as well. Because the more questions you ask, the more answers you get, the more clearer things become. And this is also in the aspect of Thesam Gomsum, right? Thesam Gomsum, as in hearing, contemplating, and practicing. So in the past, I think the initial implementation of this method was because you need to reach a certain goal at the end of the practice, whether it be wanting to, of course, whether it be in the great, in the what do we say, wider picture, as in wanting to become enlightened and achieve the what was a full nirvana, right, full liberation. And not just full liberation, but also the ability to help all mother-centered beings be liberated from the cyclic existence. Now, in this aspect, you also see that cyclic understanding, cyclic existence is very, very, very important. So when we look at Buddha's teaching, you already see that the method was also already established in his first teaching of the Four Noble Truths, right? It's all about hearing first, hearing, because in order to contemplate, you need information. Without information, contemplation doesn't happen, right? So information is important in order to contemplate. And this is, I think, the evolvement of practice, the essence of practice, wanting to reach the what we say, the ultimate goal of enlightenment, coming from the process of contemplation, and that also coming from the process of what we say, of knowledge, information that we receive. So initially, because of that, the Thusam Gomso method was established in the method of the teachings. um, but then the progress, I think, now, based on culture, based on all of these different things, the process of how this Thesam Gomso method has to be established started to change, because also the teaching started to change. While while the teachings went into different areas, then the teachings also started to change a little bit here and there. What do we say, lost in translation in some ways. So of course, that is there. That one we can see very clearly, because the focal point changed a lot. Even in the Tibetan system, His Holiness always mentions that the focal point, is importance in certain focal points, but then because of traditional cultural influences, then the focus point starts to shift away. One of the teachings, recent teachings of His Holiness is mentioning, in the monastery we have we have a small Buddha statue on the side, a Shakyamuni Buddha statue on the side, and in the middle we have a big protector's, what we say, statue. So, and then also mentioned that, if you look in the monasteries, then the Buddha statue, the Tibetans, when they come to visit the monasteries, then the Buddha statue, they are looking like this. Oh, but then on the side of the monastery, on the corner, there's another room called the protector room, they call it. Then when they walk inside, then they're covering their mouth and, walking like this. So, so the cultural aspect also a big influence in regards to practice. But basically, coming down to the point, foundation of wanting to practice always has to do with information. And I think this is one big difference between uh, other religion and, of course, Buddhism, from my own aspect, because we were given the freedom, since we started Buddhist philosophy. We were given so much freedom to really research through the context of what has been taught. Just like Buddha mentioned, "Sirshida viseshinda laporta lagayega, laporche yukuchime," I'm just a guide. Whatever I preach has to be, what do we say, experimented and checked. Just as a goldsmith does, right? So, because this establishment was there, that's why the method for this establishment has to consist of hearing, contemplating, and then practicing. Um, so I think Thesam Gosum is a method that implements very clearly the method that Buddhism wants, or Buddhism sort of like establishes in accordance with practice, right? So anyway, because of that, then the establishment of this method, when we are utilizing, wanting to practice, then we already understand, okay, in order to practice, we need information. And information, I think last time also I mentioned, some people say this is Kalyuk. Kalyuk is what degenerate times. Yeah, people say this degenerate, and I is a induction, so on and so forth, then of course it's a degenerate time. Makes a little bit of sense. But then in reality, if you look at the information, actually it's what's the opposite of degenerate? Generate time. Pro-generate time.
Flourishing.
So it's actually
Flourishing, maybe.
pro-generate time
Mm.
because information that we are what we say we are open to now, availability of information is so advanced. So Thurpa, the first method of Thurpa can be, I mean, immense here. My teacher, Gandhi Tirumche, when I used to go for what do we say, PT is a debate class, instruction class to Gyala's place. And Gyala used to recall his times in Tibet when they had maybe a few books. He mentioned a few books in one class, and they had to share the books around. 1 month you'll get it, then next month he gets it, then next month the other person gets it, like that. And that's the reason why memorization became such a huge part of Tibetan Buddhism in those days. And then you see, because you only had 1 month out of a whole year with the text, then they would memorize this whole text. And not just memorize, but they would memorize it at nighttime also, because it was much easier to memorize at nighttime, because it was very, what is it, quiet. And that time they had no electricity, they had no light. So Gela used to say they used to burn incense because it lasts a long time. And then with the incense, they would look at the text like this and memorize, with a small glow. You see, when the incense burning, there's a small glow, right? So they used to use that glow to see the text so that they can memorize. So compared to now, those it seems like those are more degenerate times when it came to information. Not availability was not as it is right now. Now you go to YouTube, you type, I don't know, teaching on, I don't know, Paramita, teaching on Madhyamika, something like that. You get full of information. Yeah, Google, what we say, we used to say Google Rinpoche. Google Rinpoche is full of information in regards to that. And then also, if you go through, now you have what, the AI generation, right? So now you have a lot of different AIs that can condense things down. So utilization of these in regards to information, I think we have such a huge what do we say, leap in regards to that. So uh, information wise, I think really now is the time to really utilize the what do we say, the generation to get as much information as we can. And then of course when it comes to knowledge, then now we see that it's in a lot of teachings of the past, we see that it's even more what do we say, more true, because our experiences has also started to grow throughout this generation. In the past, of course, if you look a few thousand years ago, then traveling took years, months, days, weeks. Nowadays, it's 1 day, 2 day travel, then you get to another place. I fly from here to New Mexico, then 1 day, 24 hours, I'm already in New Mexico. Imagine making that journey 2,000 years ago, close to few years maybe. So because of that availability, our experience level has also grown. And because our experience level has also grown, our minds have also become much more sharper in regards to capturing, I think, being able to capture things. So maybe distraction level has also gone up, but that's not a excuse. Don't use that as an excuse to what do we say, escape from gathering information. So first step always in regards to practice always has to do with gathering information. Now on I think when it comes to information, it's all about processing. Thesam Gomsum is not one method. It's a method that follows throughout your practice, right? So Thoba, at the beginning stage, Thoba always has to do with the understanding what we say. Basic Buddhist principles, right? So we talk about the four foundations of mindfulness, for example. So if we look at the concept of the four stages of mindfulness, yeah, contemplation of the body, contemplation of the feelings, contemplation of what is it, mind objects, things like that. In that sense, then of course, uh, what we say, being able to see information in regards to these kinds of practice becomes important. Then of course, in regards to contemplation of the mind object, then of course, what is it, the five hindrances, five aggregates, six senses, then of course seven factors of enlightenment, and all of these encompass together to the four noble truths. So this aspect of contemplation, then, of course, on the middle stage, then we go even more further, because once we understand the outline of what we say, of why, how, it's always in the process of understanding that. So, um, if we look at uh, our life, for example, if I look at my own life, for example, then you always see ups and downs, always, never what we say, never sort of like a flat, the mind is never in that sense, it's always up, either low, sometimes in the middle, but then the foundation of the experience goes up and down, and so does everything else. Yeah, it's just like people who do investments, then the investment going up sometime. When the investment going up, then the mind going down. When where they're going down, then the mind going up. So that process, the exact same process also happens there. Then also in regards to work also, it's never the same flow. Sometimes uh, you meet up with colleagues that are very, what is they're very implementing politics and stuff like that. So then the mind goes down. Then sometimes you meet good people in your workplace, then the mind goes up. Then some people are very shrewd, then the mind goes down again. So same experience again. Then you take a much more wider perspective of life. I think unless we really, really realize the what we say, the concept of karma, uh, we always think we are, even in the text it mentions that what do we say, that our life is basically being, it's like a person being chained to, what, I don't know what they call it, the big round metal ball, that very heavy ball. So we talk about samsara in that sense in the text also, but then this, you if you really contemplate in regards to the information that has been provided to why we feel like that, then we always see that it comes down to the mind, because there are also experiences in our daily life that free us from that burden, right? That really do free us from that burden, whether it be internal, whether it be external. The freedom is there, and the implementation of understanding that freedom comes from not from, like what do we say, not from uh, not understand, not from, what do we say, lack of information, but from the lack of contemplation of information. Like I said, we are, I think, in some sense, very, very, very wise. We have a lot of information, and especially in regards to our mind and our brain, it's so fascinating. So much information we can collect, so much information we can put inside. If you are an old practitioner or an old student, and I ask you how many teachings you have been to, countless teachings. Maybe you can't even recall how many teachings you have been to. But then when it comes to application and contemplation, then that's when we start to say, oh, maybe not so much. I'm lacking here, I'm lacking there. Yeah, so this one is, I think, what we need to work on. And by understanding the process of Thusam Gomsum, I think we really see that there is an aspect of doing things so that captures our what we say our mind to really what we say focus on the practice. Yeah. So because of that, I think establishment becomes important. Then on the middle stage, then of course more to do with faith, or more to do with balance, more to do with mindfulness, more to do with concentration, and then more to do with application of wisdom. I think at the end of the day, Buddhism becomes as simple as you want to make it, and also Buddhism can become as not simple as you want to make it. That, I think, that is the bottom line at the end of the day. Some people like to complicate everything, right? This is just our mind, how it works. You know, I think if we look at systems, we already see that already. In the old days, I want to do something very easy. I just apply a paper and then give it a sign and done. And nowadays, I don't know about the West, but in Nepal everything is being complicated. Now I want to do something, I need to take the paper, go here, get a stamp from here, go there, get some kind of, paper from there, take that paper, put it here, put it into the computer, come back, give that, give this, all those process. So, so, in some sense, I don't know. Because maybe because we have so much time in our hand, unlike in those days we had less time, like I said. Uh, you know um, we we were able, in those days we were able to, we were not able to travel such distances in such less time. So now we have, nowadays, because we have more time, maybe we are trying to make everything more complicated. But I think that's how the mind works in some sense. It starts to see patterns and wants to gather more information in regards to the pattern. And then when you implement the method to gather more informations, then it just gets more complicated. But then again, because we are not happy with the complicated patterns, then we want to make it easy again. And this is where, of course, uh, what is the computerization comes into play. One of the reasons we always complaining, one of the reasons why Nepal everything is so hard is because nothing is computerized. There's no data center here to process it, to have all of those. But then again, with that also there's more complications, because later on, if by some chance something happens, and those, it's like a hard drive. When I first bought my first hard drive, I put all the PTs and all my pictures and everything into it. Then I use it for 5 years. And after 5 years, the what was it, the plug, the thing, the USB thing to join to the computer doesn't work. Then when that doesn't work, then all my information is gone. All my savings, what is it, the pictures and that, it is all gone. So now even more problem. So I think the process is something like that. So, Buddhism consists of, I think, basically consists, first is, of course, hearing, right? Everything we hear uh, is an information. Whether it be the right thing we hear or whether it be the wrong thing we hear, it's still information. If it's the wrong thing we hear, then we find out that it's the wrong thing we hear by contemplation. If it's the right thing we hear, we find out it's the right thing we hear through contemplation. So second process of information is always contemplation, right? So this exact same method. Without contemplation, again, practice becomes impossible, because practice comes from an innate understanding of things. If I tell you to do something, if I tell you to jump off a bridge, and just because I told you to jump off a bridge, you go and jump off a bridge, that is not practical. That is stupid application in some sense, right? And we know that it's a stupid application, because we always say, why should, if someone tells me to jump off a bridge, I say, why should I jump off a bridge? And this already shows that we are contemplating. We need a higher understanding to do something. But then again, our mind is very vague in certain places. So now, especially when faith comes into play, then then there's less questions asked, right? Then we tend to do things just because someone tells us to do. And this again, uh, I think one of the reasons why a lot of religions have problems, even in Buddhism. You already see nowadays, in regards to guru devotion, in regards to that, in regards to this, in regards to all of that, so many different issues starting to come up, whether it be faith based, whether it be cultural based, whether it be systematic based, all kinds of abuses starting to come up. And these abuses are coming up, of course, because we already see that the application of Thesam Gomsum is not there. Yeah. It's if you go straight from Thoba just by hearing to application, then there's a problem. You already see that. Right. So these are, I think, good things that we need to utilize. We hear, and without contemplating, we start to do something, then becomes a problem. Then even when we are hearing, it's important to know that we are hearing the right thing, and for that also contemplation is important. So fact check is a must in Buddhism, right? And this is why when you have the opportunity to ask, I think last time when I was in DNL, I actually mentioned that when a teacher comes there, every student should have the opportunity, at least 1 to 2 sessions, to actually sit down and debate with the teacher in regards to what they're teaching. Yeah, ask questions, so that not just for you but also for the teacher, so that when the teacher teaches, there's awareness when there's teaching. Because nowadays, when you don't have to answer to anyone, then anything can come out of the mouth, right? So that, I think, is a process that can, of course, later on be a big obstacle for what do we say, personal practice. Yeah. uh, Teaching of guru devotion, uh, so amazing. But then the method of Guru devotion is very vague. What is Guru devotion? How do we practice Guru devotion? Right? Because the method is very vague. The systematic method that is taught within the Lamrim is, I think, applicable for only one aspect of practitioners, which are bodhisattvas, right? And then I tell this a lot of times, when we don't have the right mindset, when you don't have the bodhisattva mindset, and you go and you apply bodhisattva methods, then there's another problem again for the mind, because the mind cannot handle, right? Same thing happens with any kind of practice. So the point coming down to what you are hearing needs to be asked questions, so that you can contemplate. Without asking questions, then the contemplation sort of like stops in that sense, right? So coming back to the point, uh, the application, the methods that are taught in applying the what is it the key practices becomes important. So in that, then of course, uh, there is different ways, um, there's more different ways in regards to being able to, what we say, hear, or being able to receive information. And of course, passive listening is not just from the part of the teacher's part, but when we are listening to information, there's also it's more passive learning. The information has to go through the passive process of hearing. Sometimes we hear half the thing, and then we judge things based on the half of what we hear. And then of course there's another problem that arises, right? you know um, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm sure you can figure out an example. But then a situation where we hear only half of the thing, and then we judge based on that. It's something like saying, oh yeah, this person, um, if I'm telling you a story and I say, oh yeah, this person did something like this because of this and this and this and this. Now, if you're only hearing this person did something, then you already start judging that person, from what he did. instead of hearing why he did it. So similar to that example. Therefore, awareness in when it comes to listening also becomes important, um, in the practice of toba, hearing practice, right? And then, what we say, active engagement is again another method that is extremely important, which I am encouraging a lot. uh, in the Tibetan systematic study method, one thing that's not there is this one. What we say, one thing that is not there is, of course, active engagement. Uh, the holy part, the faith part, the this aspect of faith and holiness is so imprinted from cultural aspect, that when it comes to teachers sitting on a throne and teaching, then the student doesn't even dare to ask questions. And then of course there's societal judgment is there. Then they're afraid, if they dare to ask questions, then what will society say? That sort of aspect, and that's dangerous. This is how utilization of what we say, uh, 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 utilization of what we say, uh, advantage is being taken nowadays. So awareness of that is important. And His Holiness also mentions, always mentions that this has to be there. And His Holiness, most of the teachings that His Holiness gives in the Tibetan society, he always mentions, you guys think that studying Buddhism and practicing Buddhism is the monk and nun's job, and you think you just do puja and sit there and that's good enough, uh, which is not true, right? Application, everyone application. Another thing about Buddhism is that we take responsibility of every action and reaction and cause and condition and karma, right? uh, if Buddha had the ability to liberate all sentient beings, then we wouldn't be stuck here in samsara, as clear as a whistle. Buddha did what he had the ability to do, which was guide. And to follow that guidance is our job, it's our work. We can't, and this is another thing, right? We like to say we don't like to take responsibility. We like to, give responsibility. We don't like to, take the, so maybe in a normal, what do you say, worldly essence, maybe we can do that. I don't want to do something, I don't want to work in the field, I give money to someone and make them work in the field. It maybe can be done something like that. But in practice, in karma and condition, in developing the mind, and our development is completely 100% relied on ourselves, right? uh, Even if we say, sometime, when we are debating, we used to say, but Buddha can manifest in so many different ways. Buddha can manifest, why doesn't he do that? Then one example that we give is a blind person, right? You put a rock, a boulder of gold in front of a blind person, then for that blind person is just a boulder. He can't see the gold, right? He can't see that the boulder is a gold. So there's no, what do we say, that person doesn't know to give the what do we say, the the validation or so whatever. So the example they say is similar to that. Even if Buddha had the ability to manifest, if we are not passive listeners, if we are not passive practitioners, if we are not passive, you know contemplatitioners, I don't know if that's a word. uh, but I think you get what I mean. So if we are not this, then how are we going to process, how are we going to process the ability, the methods that are shown. Real practitioners, you look at Milarepa, for example, with the one ear closed like this, other ear listening up like this. And we see that he's actively listening to his teacher, even if he's miles and miles away from his teacher. Yeah, Milarepa is such an amazing practitioner because the contemplation of the process of Thesam Gomsum is such immense that he shows that the contemplation and the what we say the hearing, the contemplation and the practice is done simultaneously. I think one thing that the picture of Milarepa represents is the simultaneous practice of these three. Yes, he's one ear closed like this, actively listening, then eyes closed, showing that active contemplation, then of course his livelihood showing active, what do we say, application of those practices. So again, here you already see that these three things can be done together as well. So the method, coming down to this point, we already see that the application is not separated from our our daily life. And again, like I said, the active the thing, the activation is important. So just realizing that the end activation is important itself already, I think, is good enough so that we can start processing it. And then um, uh, differentiating between who is supposed to be listening, who is supposed to be practicing, who is supposed to be contemplating, that is also different. People who, if you don't have the knowledge, then you look for someone who has the knowledge. If you cannot contemplate, then you look for someone who can contemplate. But you can do that. That is not a problem, right? Uh, if you're not in the mood to listen, or to listen to a, let's say nowadays we look for that. I think, yeah. Uh, Chat GPT, we get a 10-page 20-page information, then we put into chat gpt and say, okay, give us the bullet points. Is it what you call bullet points? Just give me the bullet points. I don't want to read the 20 pages. So the chat gpt give you the bullet points, right? 20 points in this whole 20 page, then you get one page and then you read that. So we have that laziness in some sense. uh, but then also it's a good point, because if we are lazy and if our mind is not aware, then of course, if you can develop awareness in those 20 points, then it's very, very good. So because we have that, just like this example, we can of course always rely on information on others that is there. Contemplation also, we can rely on others, meaning, let's say I get information in regards to cause and condition karma, then I don't want to contemplate. My head hurts when I start thinking about karma. What is the cause, what is that, what is this, how this process, my head hurts. So I don't want to think about that. I let someone else think about. I have all the questions, but I let someone else think. That is also you can do, and this is what I'm encouraging you to do. If you don't want to contemplate, then you should at least lay down your questions so that someone else will contemplate for you. That was awesome. but but when it comes to the third one, that one you cannot rely on anyone. Yeah, practice and application, that one has to be done by ourselves. That one, there's no escape. So the first two, a little bit of escape you can take, but then the third one, when it comes to application, that one we have to do it. You want to reach somewhere, you need to walk, right? Even if you cannot walk, you can rely on car and that and this, but physically you need to reach there. No? Nowadays you have, what do we say, first first person perspective videos, where people who don't want to climb Mount Everest, they look at the first point and they feel like they're climbing the Mount Everest. uh, but it's not the same. It's really, really, really not the same. You can see Lama just sitting there, full of joy, full of happiness. No anger, no depression, no anxiety. Full state of bliss. We can see that and we can admire that. But then, if you cannot experience it yourself, and even if you can experience in some sense, some people say, "Oh yeah, I went to inside Rinpoche's room and I feel so light. I feel power of what we say, what we say, um, um, Because the power of blessings, we feel a bit of this, but then compared to the real experience is nothing, right? The real experience we cannot get unless we are processing on the path. So uh, that's why it becomes important. Then of course it's not just mental, it's also physical, right? There is physical components in regards to practice. Of course, creating the right environment for learning. This is why one one important aspects of Tuba is that we need our mind to be ready to listen. Yeah? If the interest is not there, then the listening is pretty much not there. And this one I can say from my own experience, because the first 3 years when I came to Sera, the first 3 years, I didn't speak Tibetan when I was in Kupan, so a little bit hard language. I think is one of the hardest languages out there to study, Tibetan. You know, there's a there's a different way of speaking, then there's a different way of writing. There's a when it comes on consonants and that and the full, anyway, very very complicated. And what we say, because of that also the interest was not there. The second thing was I'm very used to, the cultural difference. Yeah. When I was in Nepal, very used to Nepali culture, then come here, everything changed, then getting used to that. So anyway, first 3 years very hard. And every time I went up to Genla's place for what is it, philosophy class, then my mind is always wandering. Yeah, there, Nepal, France, you know. Then the environment also different, right? Here it's all flat. Then in Nepal is all what do you say, Himalayas. So the environment is also different. So it takes time to really capture the right kind of environment. So I think the what do we say, our uh, uh, ability to learn relies a lot on our internal and external environments that we create in regards to learning. So this one is of course personal. It's a very personalized choice. When it comes to practice, I think practice has to be personalized. You cannot, just because someone does it that way doesn't mean you should do it that way. Never is like that, never was like that. Even in the teachings, you'll see very, very clearly that uh, that Buddha's method of when he handled his students is always particular. There's no common method there. Yeah, there's no common environment. Some people can better practicing in a quiet place. Some people better practicing in. I had one friend during exam when he's studying, then he has his headphone on with music on, and then he studies. And he say he can study better that way, you know. Then we have other friends who and we have discussion, we study in discussion groups sometime. Some people don't show up at all, they never show up. And even when we put, oh yeah, you must show up for the discussion group, because in exam we need to discuss what debate topics and that and this in exam. Some people never show up, but then they get really good marks in exam. And they said, no, no, I cannot study with people. I need my own space to study. So very, very personalized, right? And I think this freedom has to be there. I think in regards to practice, just general practice such as meditation, of course, then utilization of practice methods, also same thing. Shamatha, vipassana, what we say, practicing in the three principal aspects of the path. If you look at all of the past masters in regards to their historical method of practice, you already start to see differences there. Yeah, and then also the environment. Some people need to be told to practice. Then some people don't need to be told to practice. That is there. Yeah. Some people practice better with pressure. Some people practice better with less pressure. So, how can someone judge all of this? In regards to that, I think one of the first courses we did. That sort of, I think, is a very, very good course in regards to seeing that, always starts within, understanding yourself, understanding your own mind. Yeah. Uh, I like to use the word looking at your mind like your own child, because when you give time, when you give the what we say, the available time, the available energy to understand your mind, then you really understand what method works for you. This is personalized. This is personalized, very personalized. So just to keep that in note, external and internal environment is personalized. That one you need to figure out what works best. And figuring out can be done from a lot of different methods. If you know anyone who is clairvoyant, then maybe you can go to them and ask them, what is the best method for me? uh, if you don't find anyone clairvoyant, then of course it's an experimental phase, where when you start, you always experiment what works best for you, right? One day you meditate with music on, one day you meditate without music on, one day you meditate in the jungle, one day you meditate in the city, and you see what where you can connect to. Yeah, that is there, of course. I think most time is the opposite, because I think this phrase, right? The grass is always greener on the other side, or something like that. We like using this phrase. So people who live in the city, they prefer. I think most likely they prefer more jungle, more greenery place to meditate. And people who have been in the jungle for a long time, they maybe like more what is it, like a city different, so that is there, of course. So anyway, the mind, internal environment, and then of course physical environment, right? Then of course when it comes to posture, like I said, for some people meditation has to be done. Some people are very strict, some masters are very strict. I'm very, very flexible when it comes to methods, I think, because like I said, some people say, oh, when you're practicing, well, if you study the text of shamatha, practicing what we say calm abiding, then there's breath, there's posture, there's all of these different things, and then a certain level of posture in a certain angle, and then the eye also has to be looking at a certain angle, the lid has to be closed in a certain angle. All of this information is there, but then it's not applicable for all, right? Let's say I have a crooked spine. What am I going to do? What put a metal rod to make it straight? So then I can't do that, right? So like I said, the posture, all of this is there. There's a certain method established, but it's not necessary to follow all of that. I mean, of course, if you want to experiment, if that suits you, then definitely you should do it. But then, if I'm blind, then we say in Yangzhou now, anyway, we say that, when you are meditating, then your eye has to be half closed, so that you can see the reflection of the moon on your nose, or something like that. But then if you're blind, then how are you going to do that, right? So, so of course, practice is available for everyone, whether you're blind, whether you're deaf, whether you're that, whether you're this. Here and there, there's conditional aspects of how fast, how slow. This one also, I don't think it depends a lot on physical condition. Depends a lot on mental condition. The greatest practitioners, uh, they didn't rely on their body for practice. Yeah, they relied on their mind. So when the mind is set in a certain aspect, and I always say one time in Bangalore, someone asked His Holiness, what is the fastest way to enlightenment? Then His Holiness's answer was, is a little bit funny. His Holiness says, "Yeah, nowadays everyone looking for faster, better, cheaper. Everything has to be quick. Everything has to. No, no such thing. And then when one time I was contemplating on that, and then I came to the conclusion that the fastest way actually is through the mind, not through the body, not through the information, not through faith, not through anything else, but your mind. That's what I think. Anyway, something you can debate on. If you disagree, of course. So that is there. Then, of course, when it comes to environment, then in regards to environment, of course, one of the main causes of the change of environment and method is distraction. Uh, uh, the level of distraction, the lower the level of distraction, the more the level of focus. Focus and distraction, I always talk about the mind being like a seesaw sort of thing. You develop one part, then the other part naturally goes down. In a way, when you develop the other part, so it's like positive, negative sort of thing. So same thing when it comes to distraction and awareness, I think it's like that. Yeah, the moment you focus on developing awareness, then the distraction already decreases. The moment you bring down the distraction, the awareness goes up. Now, what do you want to do? Whether you want to pull the awareness, whether you want to focus on pulling the awareness up, or whether you want to focus on uh, lessening the distraction, that is personalized. Some people work better by focusing on developing the awareness. Some people work better on working on minimizing the distractions. Like I said, personalized, right? Uh, uh, for some people, uh, when you have distractions, when you have a TV, when you have that computer, this phone, and everything, then because you want to practice, you minimize all of that. And when you minimize all of that, then they think the awareness goes up. But then the exact opposite happens. Now the awareness level is so up that your mind is zooming around looking for things to do. It's like what do you say? When I used to go for what do you say? When I used to go to a bathroom for long bathroom, poo poo time. Those days we didn't have phone. So then I used to sit there reading labels of the shampoos and of the soap because your mind doesn't know what to do there, right? So it's just you need some kind of distraction, some kind of focus. So so like I said, works differently for different people. um, but working on what works for you, now that is the I think that is the important information, right? And then finally Harry Potter came up, and then in Harry Potter I used to sit on my toilet all the time, because the distraction now, once you have the book, then you focus on the book. I think it's also good for me because that's how I actually started developing what do we say, my reading, what do you call, sort of like habit sort of thing. So it helped a lot. Um, and even now I think I have that habit because even if you have the phone, there's nothing much there. So wanting to read something is always in the mind when sort of habitual sort of thing. So like I said, based on your own preference, the habit building is also there. um then taking care of basic needs before processing into study. So I think one of the most important aspects taught in the Lamrim in regards to information is Guru, and this is why Guru is becomes very important. One of the reasons why Guru becomes very important, or teacher, or Guru, is in the aspect of practice, more of the aspects of practice. But let's think about teacher for the moment. Information that you need. Uh, of course, His Holiness says is not a monk. It's not the monks and the nuns' job to study Dharma. It's everyone's job. They just creating a good environment for themselves to study. That's the only thing. When you have a monastic system where you have rules and regulations, where everyone else is in the same, what do we say, same sort of environment, then it becomes easier to do things. No. So, of course, this is one of the reasons why monastic systems were set up to start with. Um, when you have vows to take care of, and the vows are in you aware, your awareness also goes up, because now you are aware of your vows, you are aware of all of that, and because of that, you know, the things that we tend to do, you know, that also minimizes. So because of these things, there's a huge difference in practice. But then for some people it doesn't work. You know, for some people, curiosity, you know, all of these other things that, you know, sometimes better practitioners as a lay than as a monk, and there's also this difference also. um, um, when it comes to practical application, that one I would say definitely uh, uh, more outside than inside, you know, a system, a monastic system. Monastic system, there's of course a chaotic system, of course, within itself, but then the application of how we want to practice, there's a difference there, because like I said, within the monastic system, you know, here and there, you know, a little bit of anger, a little bit of hatred, a little bit of attachment, these things are there. But then practical application, you know, when you are actually facing someone who is in front of, like your boss, every day you need to face your boss, for you know, for the period of the time that you're working for that person, then controlling your what do we say, your level of your mind becomes more, what do we say, more of a constant sort of practice every day. So that, of course, I think practical application of practice, I think definitely, as outside the monastic system, there's stronger. But then same thing, right? If you go to if you go to a mountain, like if you go into the mountain, like Milarepa did, where there's no people, where there's nothing, then of course, practical application of trying to reduce your anger and all of that is easier, no? Because there's, you know, you are not confronted by your disliked people and your enemies every day, so application is less. But that doesn't mean that the moment you come down from the mountain, you are already a more kinder, nicer person. It doesn't mean that, right? Maybe, who knows, the moment you see your enemy, the anger even stronger than before, you know. So practical application, I think differences is there. So what do we say, setting the right boundaries, comes an important aspect of the system, that be able to listen. Buddha didn't, I don't think Buddha came up and said, I want to sit on the throne. He was put up on the throne because, you know, in those days they didn't have what do we say, microphone and all of that, right? So, and Buddha had a lot of students. So, you know, of course, scientifically also you can see, we already know, right? The speech reaches further down when you are talking from the top. So, you know, these things factor into this. Nowadays, when you have the speaker and all of that, then, you know, still, I think practice wise is another aspect. But then contemplating on the scientific perspective, throne maybe not necessary. So many changes in those things. Then another aspect of being able to listen is, of course, setting the right mental state, right? If you are not in the state of listening to bodhicitta, mentally not prepared to listening to bodhicitta, then some people, they hear, they hear, oh, kindness here, they've suffered a lot their whole life. Then they come for teaching, and then they, in the teaching they say, oh, you need to show kindness to everyone, and then they feel, but no one showed kindness to me. This is always up there, the mind, right? If someone has come from a place where no one was showing them any kindness till now, then they come to a place and then they hear about compassion, why you should show kindness, to not why you should receive kindness, but why you should show kindness. Then sometimes that affects them even more, right? So mentally being prepared to listen to what is being taught. That is also, I think, another kind of, what do we say, preparation that we need to do. And then, of course, clearing mental obstacles and developing, what do we say, how developing the method on how to what do we say, how to contemplate, processing the contemplation or practice is also important. Not the contemplation itself, but how you're going to do that contemplation. And then, of course, respect, uh, developing respect. This is a little bit contradiction within myself, because sometimes I think developing respect is important. Sometimes I think, respect should be earned, not given, right? So there's a little bit of contradiction in those two. Uh, when I see uh, time change, and with time change, we were, and I think most of us quite similar, because we all experienced that. Uh, Now, I'm not so sure how much of the experience is similar, but when I was small, I was always taught to respect, and this is maybe one of the reasons why this contradiction of maybe respect needs to be earned, not given. This contradiction also comes, but then by nature, because we have been taught that from young, by nature, respect is always there. So I think there's a very fine balance between how respect can be utilized, um, but then sometimes also respecting uh, uh, how we, what do we say, how we present, how we perform our respect also differentiates in how the application can come out. So if I give you different examples, let's say I have a teacher, and that teacher is my teacher, so I need to respect, right? But then that teacher does something uh, very vague, questionable. Now the respect is, now the question comes, oh, should I respect or not? But then still, I'm getting information, I'm getting this, I'm talking on a very worldly concept, okay? If you go from the bodhisattva aspect, if you are a real practitioner, if you're already a bodhisattva practitioner like Gebje Lama Thupten Zobo Rinpoche, then Rinpoche's aspect of respect, he can respect anyone, right? Even someone step on his head like this, is still no problem. Respect is there. So this is again very profound methods of respect. So if you want to reach that point, we need to start somewhere. So this is where I'm talking about. We are talking about the start. We are not talking about the end. Okay, just so that you don't mix things up. So in regards to that, there's of course contemplation in regards to. Should I be respecting, because there has been something that is questionable that has been done, and then also the aspect of that respect, uh, coming from different sides. So you can respect someone for their knowledge, but maybe not respect them for how they enact, or what we say, process the knowledge or whatever. So there is, these things that are there. But then in regards to information, of course, developing respect does always give you the opportunity to get more information out of that source. So respect is, I think, one of the main aspects of cultivating, or not cultivating, but in the process of practicing the what do you say, the component of the method of hearing, um, practice of hearing. Then what do we say? Chubanamsum is like three methods of proper listening, maybe three aspects of methods of proper listening, we say. Yunamsum. Yeah, so yeah, if I translate, sorry, my Buddhist terminology not very clear, but something like that. There's three aspects, methods of being a proper listener, and then that one, we always say, vessel, like a like a vase, open vase, ready to receive anything inside. So like that, being ready to receive whatever information that is being given. If you are always always trying to stop from information going in, then information is not going to go in, right? um, Not vessel, they say. What is it? Begging bowl, that's the word, begging bowl, right? So when Buddha set up the Novik vows, uh, bhikshu, the word bhikshu, beggar, the word bhikshu means beggar. Sangha means togetherness. Then Sangha Kadaraya Bhikshu is together and going to beg together, sort of thing. So the community is the Sangha, the monk is the Bhikshu, is the beggar. So in the olden days, then the monks carry the begging bowl, and then one of the Novik vows is that you eat anything that you receive in here. Yeah, anything that people offer you, then you take. So similar to the begging bowl, then anything, when it comes to teaching also, you need to be willing to receive all the information before before what do we say, processing, and being very oh, I don't want this, I don't want biscuit, I don't want that, I don't want this, I only want meat, I only want chocolate. So before doing that, you need to be willing to receive anything. Once you have everything in your bowl, then you can differentiate. Okay, now the chocolate I want, this one I don't want it because I have diabetes, so I don't want the chocolate. So now you can start differentiating. So this is the method. Yeah. Second one is what do you say, like the sun. Yeah. What do we say, illuminating understanding, right? So being able to process. Then like listening, we say, when you are sick, then uh, when you are hungry, then we are willing to receive any food, willing to uh, very, what do we say, uh, heartfully receive anything to eat, right? So whether it be bread, whether it be, there's no fussing around, you're willing to receive anything to eat. So when you are sick, then sick person, because the pain is there, then the doctor, whatever medicine the doctor give, you're very appreciative and happily receiving and utilizing their medicine. So the third method is listening. We say like listening like a sick person, receiving medicine. So willing to, that sort of thing. So these are the three methods of listening, of course. um, Now one of the things, in uh, regards to, of course, these methods, all of these methods, modernization, the applications are different. I think how to approach Dharma books, how to take notes effectively using digital, resources, sort of mindfully, creating study groups. These one, I think we are already in the process of doing. Then, of course, managing information overloads. This all quite similar to what we just went through. Then, of course, dealing with doubts. This is one thing. We are very, very, very good at, how do we say, very good at sort of like backfiring everything. You know, when information comes, before the full information has come, we are already, but then this is, but then that, so even in the monastery, when we were debating, my teacher always used to, because I used to be one of those fast reactors, sort of thing. Before my teacher finish putting down his points, I'm already thinking about, sort of like shooting, what do you say, debate at him. Relax, just sit down and listen first. Let me finish, then you can rebuttal me as much as you want. So I think this is one thing that we tend to do a lot. Judge things before we see the full picture. So I think important, receiving the full information is very important. So not to judge too fast when it comes to, dealing with doubts. Then of course, um, methods of dealing with how our mind is dull, because our mind, like I explained earlier, our mind likes to wander all over the place from time to time. So dealing how to deal with that, I think also personalize, maybe, but then how we want to capture things, yeah, difference in that also. um, but overall, I think, then of course, another thing that we need to figure out when we are listening, I think all of this, so many different information, too much information, just too much. At the end of the day, when we are practicing Thesam Gomsum, Thepa is basically opening your heart, opening up your mind and your heart to receive information. That is the most important aspect of gathering information, right? um, Even whether it be you are trying to debate, whether you are trying to contemplate, whether you are trying to practice, whether you are trying to get rid of a doubt, whatever it may be, the patience, the skillful method of application of patience is very important, and the patience has to come from a vast mind. Yeah, we say mind is like a sea, right? So calm the sea down before putting boats and putting ships and putting fish into it. So before all of that, you calm your mind down. That is important, I think. Our willingness to listen is there, but then our willingness to listen, even if the willingness to listen is there, then our reaction is comes on all different forms, right? So that, I think, is the important part. And at the end of the day, I always say, we need to learn to simplify. Yeah, I know. When I'm talking about what do we say, obstacles and practices and the quality of attention and different ways of exercising, and then also the application, and then the different aspects of proper learning. I mean, for proper listening, and then mental preparation and physical preparation, comfort level, that this posture, and so many different information. But then, what are you going to do with those information? At the end of the day, no matter how many information someone tells you, oh, you need to sit this way, breathe this way, look this way, think this way, it's not the method. Yeah, information is there, yes, but that's not the method. The method is opening your heart. Yeah, the method is opening your ears, willing to listen. Then, because the whole concept of listening is to contemplate. So seeing that the contemplation comes after the listening. Yeah, and then the whole goal is, I'm listening in order to contemplate. That one has to be there. I think that is the what is the outline points of I'm like ChatGPT now. Simplify everything, shorten down everything, right? So similar to that, just the concept of that is there. The process, I think, when we receive, like I said, when we receive information, information doesn't have to be received just from others, because we are capable, very, 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 very capable beings. Unlike cats and dogs, unlike animals that are struggling to survive, we, of course, we also struggling to survive in some ways. But unlike ants that that wander off from their, what do we say, their ant hill to collect food and come back and feed their queen and all of that, we don't have those kinds of responsibilities. Yeah. And then also our mind is much more sharper than a dog who just wants food and who just wants to reproduce. When I went to science class, and they say, you know when you are a when as a person, our whole reason of survival, two things: reproduction and, what was it, one was reproduction and the other was uh, passing down. No, 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 no. Survival, yeah, survival and reproduction. Yeah, they say, in science, they say, oh, the whole purpose of a human being is survival and reproduction. That because I'm a philosopher, that I say, then I'm no different from a dog. You're putting me on the same level as a dog. Then our science teacher, he was laughing. Anyway, same thing. We are not that. We are not on the same level as an animal who just needs to survive and reproduce. We're on a different level. Our mind is on a different level. We have the capability to make calculations moving forward, and especially as someone who has the knowledge of cause and condition of karma, and then understanding the continuity of the mind, we ought to see that we have great potential in regards to that. Yeah, we understand samsaric suffering. Yeah, samsaric suffering, not just vague samsaric suffering, we experience it. Yeah, we experience headache, we experience loss of that, loss of this, loss of family, loss of kids. We experience all kinds of different sufferings. Yeah, from the suffering of change all the way to, well, what do we say, suffering of, what do we say, what is the word? Um, Suffering that consist throughout our lifetimes. Yeah. So the three different types of sufferings, change, the sufferings, we experience those. Yeah. And we experience, of course, we not just experience ourselves, but we see the experiences of the suffering of the world. When we contemplate in that, and we see that we have the ability to end all of that. Yeah, you becoming a president. Well, recently between Thailand and Cambodia, they were about to have a war, I think, right? Something like that. Then now someone comes up and stops the war. When you have power, we have the ability. But this is worldly ability. We are much more profound than that. We go one step beyond that. Yeah. And then, we always see negative news, but then there's a lot of positive news. And you look at all of those positive news, we see that we have the ability to make great changes, huge changes. Potential is there. Then you look at the enlightened mind, you look at Lama Zopa Rinpoche's mind, you see that we have the potentiality to reach that kind of mental state. So now because we see all of that, that's why we are different. And that's why we see the capability in ourselves. We should see the capability in ourselves, right? So, coming back to the point, at the end of the day, this is what we are looking for. This is what we are looking to develop. This is what we are looking for to initiate. And in order to initiate, first thing, always, always, always comes listening, right? If I'm not listening to your problems, then there's no solution. I'm not the right person to give solutions to your problems. Yeah, that's why when you go to a doctor and the doctor is not listening to what you are saying, I have pain here, I have this, I have that, and it goes, okay, okay, just take this medicine and go. Then you say, oh, this doctor is not good, right? But then if the doctor is listening to you, okay, is it hurting here? How much is it hurting? From 1 to 10, how much here? How much there? Are you taking this? Are you taking that? Have you changed your diet? And now we think, oh, this doctor is good. He's listening to me. Right? So the difference is there. We already see these kind of differences in our daily life. So application of these methods is not just in our daily life, but application of this on the practical practice method as well, on the practical practice level as well. So, because we have those potentials, being able to see those potentials, and then now a strong wish to really utilize these potentials to make the change that we want. That's the main important what do we say goal, or the ins- mental, what do we say, thought process that we need before receiving all of this. You say, okay, I just want to listen, and I just want to see, and maybe experience, and I have too much time on my what do we say, too much time on my hand, or something like that is is the word. Yes, I have too much time on my hand, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to go and listen. This one, yes, is good, but then uh, there's no practicality in that, especially in regards to Dharma, right? So, as a Dharma practitioner, this kind of practicality has to be there in regards to practice. Um, then, other than that, basically, at the end of the day, uh, listening, listening and reciting. His Holiness says even parrot can do. Parrot. You teach parrot a word Om Mani Padme Hum. You can listen to Om Mani Padme Hum, and then it can recite Om Mani Padme Hum. But how much of a difference that is from a human actually understanding the word Om Mani Padme Hum and reciting it, and actually reciting it with a wish and a goal and an aspiration, and then also with that the application of the practice of compassion through the words of Om Mani Padme Hum. Huge difference, right? So this difference we need to understand, right? This difference is what makes the makes the practice meaningful, makes the practice what is it, productive. Just reciting is good, of course, but you don't reach far. We want to reach far. Yeah, we want to reach far, 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 far. We don't reach far just by listening and repeating. So I think what time? 7:56. Yeah, so I think in regards to the practical application of listening, I think that's pretty much it. You have any questions? Any questions? Any debates? I think last time Sheila was asking when we are having debate class. Maybe this can be our debate class. You contemplate and then you ask questions. And then from the question, then the debate starts. Uh, No questions. Yes, question. No, processing. I think uh, I listened. I listened yesterday. I listened to this teaching, uh, but it's not practical when yesterday my teacher told me that I should love my enemies. But this is not practical. I cannot love my enemies. I had a very hard time. They did this to me. They did that to me. They took this from me. They took away this that from me. They harmed here. They harmed there. So 10, I have 100 different reasons why I shouldn't love my enemy. So in something like that, just giving you something to think about. So in something like that, when you have something like that, or you say, okay, I have a colleague who, I was about to get promoted, but then this colleague came in and he did this and he did that, and I'm very innocent, but he played some politics here and there, and he somehow convinced my boss not to give me the job. So now I didn't get the job. So I'm very angry with him. How do I apply compassion? Why should I apply compassion to start with? Yeah. Now you utilize your listening practice. Yeah. You have the listening practice of your teachers, or maybe books that you have read, Lamrim. You have lived the three principal aspects of the path. I think we went through then all of these different things. So now you utilize. Think, okay, let's forget about why I should hate him. There's another thing to debate about. But now let's think about why I should love him. And this is the process of basically the process, I think. Yeah. When we are seeing logic between two different aspects, then the questioning first comes, and from that questioning, now you differentiate the questionings. Yeah. I'm trying to develop love. If I'm trying to develop hate, then I say, okay, I'm going to think about the reasons I hate him. Yeah, so now I hate him because of this. I hate him because, like I said just now, right? He just basically destroyed my life, because now because of him I didn't get my job, and then now I can't help my family. I can't feed my kids. I wanted this car. Now I can't get this car. I can 10 different reasons to why I should hate him. But then now I'm trying to develop love. So now I'm trying to think, okay, I have 10 different reasons to hate him, but let's try to create three reasons to why I should love him. So this is where utilization of listening comes, right? We are talking about the methods of listening. So now if you utilize the what is the methods of listening, then we say you should listen like an open, what we say, a begging ball, then you should have all the information inside. Yeah, we talk about, for example, yeah, we talk about samsara, for example. That's a one reason maybe you can utilize to practice why I should, love him. Then the second reason, of course, maybe utilization of the concept of suffering. Then also karma. Yeah, a lot of people utilize karma, but they don't utilize karma. They utilize karma as an excuse, not as a reason. Oh, something like this happened, why it happened, karma. you know oh, yesterday she didn't do this, karma. So more utilizing it as an excuse. But then if you really think about it, we if maybe also in the if you're from a Buddhist, um your parents were Buddhist and you are in the Buddhist, then most likely it has happened. But because our whole generation, past generations all Buddhist, so in our mind is always, as a kid, when you see small bugs and like that and you want to squish, then the parent always saying, oh, bad karma, you go to hell, you'll be born in hell, you'll be squashed by this animal next time. So that sort of like sticks in the mind. So then kids, they say, oh, don't do this, say le dukja is like bad karma. So now this one is sort of like stuck in the mind. So now every time something bad, you're trying to do something bad, then, oh, bad karma, bad karma, bad karma. So then there's fear. Development of fear towards doing something bad, because the logic is the conceptual process is bad karma. Something like this going to happen to you. Uh, Something like that, maybe also. Then also in regards to that mental state, judgment, and generally when we look at an aspect of a person, we're looking aspect of a person from our own perspective. But then, you look at, if I give you the same example, then maybe, the person is in the same position, that he, even though it's not in his nature to deceive someone and play politics and take, but maybe he really really needed the money. When we are in our greatest or lowest point, then we are open to do all kinds of different, even some people even willing to kill and steal and do all of these things. So the mental state also, you start to see, contemplate, you also see, oh, there are means and reasons why the process happened in that way. I don't know, does it make sense? So now we are sort of like compiling more and more information. But then again, like I said, the debate can go deeper, definitely can go deeper. Mm. So something like that, the process of debating is something like that. And this one is also happens within ourselves. One of the first causes when we are talking about, self-realization, so, awareness of awareness. I think the last course we talked about awareness of awareness. This is the process of awareness of awareness. No, look at ourselves, look at the process that we are in, how we are utilizing the information that we have in order to convince ourselves things. So, like that, we're good. Okay. We have a question now, maybe. Still no question. Okay.
Excuse me, I just have a comment, if I may, Rinpoche.
There's one
It's
person.
Jerry here.
Nim and
Can you
Isha.
hear me?
Yeah, you can unmute and ask question.
It's Jerry here. Can I ask? Well, it's not so much a question, just a comment.
Yes,
I've had
definitely.
a quick look at the workbooks. I think it'll be really valuable to use those to apply what you're teaching and maybe have a
Yes,
discussion next time. I think that would be really valuable.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Venerable Tundula created the workbook.
Yeah, looks
It's
good.
supposed to be. I'm not a homework checking person. I tried to do on the first day, but I don't think I'm a very strict person. So, so I I think most of you are very willingly doing your homework, so that I don't need to check also.
No, but I think it would give a opportunity to maybe have some discussion next time.
Yes, 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 definitely. You do your
Thank you.
homework, then
Thank you.
next time we can have discussion in regards to that. Yeah, Nim and Ifisha, yeah, hands up.
That you said right. Um, my question is, how does listening, contemplating, and practice differ for a sutra versus a tantric practitioner?
Ah, um, I think a main difference between Sutra and Tantra already initializing most of the listening part is done. Yeah, we talk about Tantra coming after the 10 bhumis. Application of tantra can be what we say on the basic levels can be there, but then real tantric traction comes after if not full realization, at least what we say effortless understanding of the three principal aspects of the path. The main what do we say layover or practice, especially in regards to enlightenment, is three principles of aspects of the path. That's why they're called the three principal aspects of the path. So when you have listened, you have already processed, and you have gone through the sutric practice and reached the bhumis. Now bhumis, the 10 bhumis we say, right? Salam, saju, then the tenfold paths. Once you have reached there, then your realization on emptiness already starting to grow. Yeah, your renunciation you have already passed. So realization on the application of wisdom and method already start to grow. Tantric practice is application of the what to say of the wisdom and method, combination of wisdom and method on a very 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 what do we say what's the word subtle, very 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 subtle aspects of application, right? So subtle aspects of the grasping attitude, for example. One of the main reasons for the application of the view of emptiness is to negate the self-grasping attitude. Not self-grasping attitude as in the aspect of self-love and all of that. There's all different, there's completely different from all of that. Refining is very very hard, but then at the end of the day there's a big difference in that. So we are going into a very subtle state of practice in that. Now without the information, I think same thing, sutric practice or tantric practice, the listening aspect already starting from the beginning, same thing. Then contemplation is already, I think, if you are a tantric practitioner, you will start to see that the contemplation aspect is already happening at the if you go into the arya state, then already happening in the arya state. If you're not going into the arya state, you're going straight into the bodhisattva path, then already happening in the 10 fold paths already happening. Yeah, the contemplation, because the contemplation, like I said, nyamsa jetum, nyamsa jetum, nyamsa jetum, within the tenfold paths there is meditation state and there's awareness state, then meditation state and awareness state, right? So that process is already happening there. Then the practical application, the what do we say, the what do we say, gomba aspect of it is already happening there as well. But then in the tantric point of view, it's focused on the subtle states of application. So now that's where the difference, main difference comes. um, what is the opposite of subtle? Gross. Yeah, gross, right? So on the gross level of application, so within that also there's many levels of gross and subtle. Now in the sutric path, then there's normally in the subtle there's three levels of subtle, in the gross there's three levels of gross, in the intermediate also three levels. But in the tantric one, then you go to subtle, there's maybe 18, some say 18, some say 20 something, 27 or something like this, subtle levels of application. So this is different kinds of applications. So I think that's the only difference there.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I think we stop here. And like Gary say, you do your homework, then maybe next time you have questions. See, I see if you have done your homework or not through the questions. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. 선조심 조심 보지 마제 번함 지교지 저하냐 밤에 봐야 권에 권도 배워줘 돈이다 오랜 보지 마제 번함 지교지 저하냐 밤에 권에 권도 배워줘 등매주 되게 매주 저된 말. Yeah, thank you so much.